Okay, in the last lesson we were just talking about adjusting skin tone. Now we've got the skin tone, the skin color of her face looking pretty close to where we want it. Let's go in and get rid of all these little bumps and such on her face. So we're going to do some actual skin retouching here. And what I'm going to show you first is really what's considered the correct way for retouching on faces. And then I'm going to show you my cheating way of retouching faces, but what's considered the correct way, and I've done this many times. I've retouched faces for magazine covers, and doing it this way to really go in and really thoroughly do a really good retouch on something like that, on a face like this, I would actually spend a couple of days doing it, full long days on one photo, on one face, just doing really detailed skin retouching. And the reason is that you want to maintain some of the skin texture. But here, let me just show you this image I have open, and I had it open from the last lesson. Is called Skin Retouch Example.tiff, and that's one we're going to keep working with. Right now, in my layers palette, you'll see here that's where we did the skin tone correction right there. And I'm just going to make a new blank layer on top of that, and I'm just going to name it Retouch. I like to do everything on new layers and on blank layers as much as possible. It just gives me more control later on if I need to come back and readjust something. So let's go in and show you the correct way to do this, or what has always been considered the correct way for doing this. I'm using the healing brush tool, and I'm going to set aligned, and I'm going to use current and below. By default, the healing brush tool has a rather hard edge, and everybody says to leave that hard edge, but I don't. I soften it up just a little bit. I just find it blends a little better for me. Okay. And what I do when I'm doing this the correct way, you come in really close to where you're almost at the pixel level of the image. And you use a very small brush and go in, and I'm starting here on her forehead. I'm going to get rid of these bumps here. And especially when on working with foreheads, you want to sample always from the side, because the texture on the skin on foreheads is different than the skin texture anywhere else on the face. It has kind of a usually some lateral lines that go sideways like this that occur naturally, and the pores tend to have a little bit of a lateral side-to-side shape to them. So you want to go in and always sample from the side. And I would actually just, if I was doing it for a client that insisted I do it the traditional way for retouching, I would go in and I would actually just spend all day getting rid of every single little flaw, but still maintaining texture to the skin. And I would do this without doing any kind of blurring at all. But I usually don't have a whole day to spend retouching faces. So the next lesson I'm going to show you is how to do a big cheat, blurring the image and then actually cheating and bringing back a fake texture. And I'll explain that to you when we get there. So instead of sitting here and letting you watch a video for 8 hours of me cloning out every single spot on this face, or actually using the healing brush on every single spot on this face, what I'm now going to do is back out a little bit, and I'm actually only going to just get rid of any major bumps, anything that's going to really stand out. And I'm not going to worry about anything little. And I'm going to do this rather quickly. And I'm actually just using my space bar to give me the hand tool temporarily to move my image around. And again, if I was actually doing this for a client, I would actually take a little more care to do this right. But you won't tell that I'm doing a sloppy job here. So actually, I'm just going in and I'm actually just trying to get rid of any kind of major bump. And actually, this girl has really beautiful skin. If you notice, she doesn't have any of those lines under her eyes that are natural to most of us. And she doesn't have any. And so this is before retouching. So she looks pretty amazing. Just has a little bump right there. That got it. Kind of helps to sing as you do this. Okay. I promised I wasn't going to make you watch me get rid of every bump on this image, so let's stop. Okay, I'm going to back out. And that's a real rough retouch, but I've gotten rid of all of the big bumps on her face. So that's before and that's after. Before, after. So you can see a few little skin flaws on her forehead there that are now gone. Come a little closer. Before, after. Okay. That looks good. And now I'm going to move on to the next lesson where I'm going to show you how to do the big cheat. And that is going to be on skin blurring and then adding texture back. So let's go on to that and give that a try.